All right, let's get going. Let's kick off the second half of our meeting with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. I would now like to introduce our main speaker, Michael A.
Meaning I'm being timed?
And that's your water there.
Thank you. Well, this is nice. Hey, Brent, everybody.
Yes.
Where is he? Nice. Mr. Sir. I'm kidding around. So as you might have heard, I'm Michael A. Actually, I'm Michael Axelrod. I am an alcoholic. And I'm also a bit of a drug addict, but I'm not one of them N guys, you know. So, God, you know, I drove down here from Morro Bay. Morro Bay, anybody? A couple 150 miles up the road. And I did the best talk. You know, I wish I would have recorded it. And then I'd be sitting by Roxy and just have my little phone here, and you guys would be blown away. That's not going to happen. And so, let's see. I said my name, right? So I remembered that. And I got this, Roxy. Yes, I do. What did I want? Oh, I got it now. Thanks for reminding me. So you might have heard this. A guy goes into a bar, and he sees this guy that he had seen around, but he hadn't seen him for a while, sitting on a bar stool, sipping a drink. And he goes up to the guy and says, wow, I haven't seen you in a while. How you doing? Guy looks like shit, but he says, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you doing? Guy said, well, I'll tell you. I got fired from my job. Wow. Well, how come? Well, my boss said, you know, I always call in or I don't call in. And when I show up, I'm hungover and I don't do what they're paying me to do. He gave me a couple warnings and then he said he had to let me go. So the guy says, wow, you lost your job. That's a drag. He goes, yeah. And then I went to a doctor recently, and the doctor did some liver panels and stuff, and he said, if I want to keep my liver, I need to quit drinking. Whoa, dude. Yeah, tell me about it. And he goes, in fact, according to the doctor, this drink right here could kill me. Ugh. Well, not this one. Anyway, wow, so you lost your job? You're at death's door? Yeah. And then my wife said she can't stand to just sit and watch me kill myself. So she told me I had to sober up or get out. So what'd you do? Well, I got out. And you know this one? And so, wow, you got out. Well, where are you staying? Well, the guy that runs this place let me, I do a little cleaning up and clean the bathroom and stuff. And I got some quilts from the Goodwill. And I'm in the storeroom, you know, with where they keep all the beer and everything. And so, wow, you lost your job. Doctor says you're going to die if you don't quit drinking. You lost your family and your home. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought about going to Alcoholics Anonymous? And the guy goes, oh, knock on wood, things haven't gotten that bad yet. Yeah, well, guess what? So that's kind of how it was for me. I had hep C for 40 years. Doctor said if I wanted to keep my liver, I needed to quit drinking. I did quit drinking, but not for a while, a couple of years. And not because of that. What else? Same thing about jobs and all that. My wife never said she would leave me. She just, every time we went out anywhere, the next day when I woke up, I heard the word humiliated a lot. I thought I was having fun. She thought she was being humiliated. Anyway, so, and then, I worked in a film production for 12 years on TV commercials. And I was on the job where we set Michael Jackson on fire and, high-end stuff. And so one day I show up early in the morning. You do everything early in the morning. And I had my little routine. I'm not going to get into it. But I need to use the restroom. And so when you're on location, they have like a lot of mobile homes. And they use those. Film production, anybody? Okay. Well, they have a lot of mobile homes. And, they use them for like offices and dressing rooms and bathrooms and stuff of that nature. So I see all these mobile homes. One of them says, "I'm a friend of Bill W." So I go, well, that looks inviting. So I go in, I use the bathroom, and I sit down, start chatting up the driver, this woman. I said, "So tell me, mobile home driver, what's Bill W? What does I'm a friend of Bill W mean?" And she says, "Well, I'm a recovering alcoholic." Soon as she says that, everything within me says, stand up and get out of here. Because I didn't want to catch it. And she goes, "I'm a recovering alcoholic." And Bill W. is one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. I go, "Oh, that's, something." And she goes, "For instance, have you ever thought you might be an alcoholic?" Every fiber of my being, I'm thinking, one, lucky guess, but every fiber of my being says, get up and run. But if I get up, I know it looks bad, so I pretend like I'm cool, like I'm doing now. And she goes, "Have you ever thought you might be an alcoholic?" And I say, "What would make you say that?" And she says, "Well, it's not even 7 a.m. yet. You're working, and you reek of alcohol." And I said, I gotta go, lady. And, that was my first exposure to AA. And it was only, that was in maybe the late 80s. I get sober in 97. So it was only like 10 years later that I came back. You know what I mean? And then the only other story I'm going to tell of usage was, so I'm on I did a lot of jobs, and I worked for 12 years making commercials and shit. I was like a schlep, but I was there. And we like, when you finish a job, I was on some movie, like a little piece of crap movie for like a month. And at the end of it, the director invites all the crew into his hotel suite. And, there's a bar and everything. So I'm like doing what I do, drinking. And then we went out to dinner. He took us all to dinner, and I'm drinking. And I'm getting looks. Like, I drank a lot even for me, and I wasn't pacing myself because it was all free. And I go, like, I can soak it up now, and, And I make it home. They tell me I need to stay. I was in Claremont. I lived in Van Nuys. Van Nuys? All right. What was your intersection?
Van Nuys and Glen Oaks.
I'm Woodman and Burbank back then. Garden spot of LA. and so I go home and I wake up. Usually when I wake up to go to work, like for 12 years, it's dark. This time the sun's shining. I go, oh my God, and I'd never been late in 12 years. I'm gonna be late today. And I've been throwing up a lot. I'm throwing up while I'm driving, and it's a mess. I ate sand dabs that night, sand dabs all up and down the freeway and stuff. And I finally get to the job, and I go, I can't do anything. I gotta lay down. And so I lay down. And so then what I do, and I'm throwing up, and everybody knows what's going on with me. And I have this hangover cure. This was beyond a hangover. I was probably close to alcoholic death, and so what I do is, my cure was, I liked codeine number 4s. They're tidy. If you have a bottle with your name on them, they're legal sort of, no matter how you got them. And I can control. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it. They were, I took them, not a lot, but I took them for like 30 years, every day. And I know. Yeah. So anyway, so I take a few codeine number 4s outside, and I drink a bunch of water. And lo and behold, usually, I start looking what time it is to see when I can expect to start feeling better, and I puke them up. And on the grass, I could see it now. And I've puked so much, since all night and in the morning, that it's just these codeine, a little decomposing around the edges, otherwise they're perfect. So I reach in the grass, and it's like egg whites. And I flick them like that, and I take them again. Only this time, I take them a little more vehemently, like, and I keep them down. And so then what I was thinking later when I got sober, fortunately nobody was around, but if somebody would have come up, like that guy in the bar, and said, you think you might have a problem with alcohol and apparently codeine? As I'm picking up pills out of my own vomit, I would have said, why would you say that? It was a problem, but now it's fine, you see? And that's where I was. And it was only, once again, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 years before I actually quit doing that kind of stuff. I have a sponsor. He knows he's my sponsor. His name's Doug. He got 44 years in December. I forget the day. And then I have a home group up in San Luis Obispo County, stand and deliver men's meeting, 10 o'clock at Dove Creek. If you're ever in that area, it's worth the drive to Atascadero. 10 o'clock on Saturdays. I'll buy you a coffee. And I have a sobriety date, October 1st, 1997, which blows my mind. Yeah, blows my mind. So the thing is, I worked at Fred's. I don't know if y'all knew this. I worked for Fred's. I'm a drug and alcohol counselor. I'm in my 30th year. And was I anybody's counselor that doesn't mind raising their hand? That guy, you know who that guy is? Yeah. Yeah, it's my fault that like he's here running this place. So I'm a drug and alcohol counselor, and that's why I get sober, because people around Fred's, I got sober, but I wasn't going to any meetings or anything. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there are real big recovery people around here. I'm not going to mention any names, but that lady there with the curly hair. You might have seen her around. And everybody but me was really big in recovery, and they just badgered me. I'm not going to get into that. I talked about that at length the last time I spoke here a couple of years ago. And so I'm not really an alumnus. I just worked here. I've had an association since 1997. And then I quit after 6 years, got a job teaching people to be counselors. And then they put me on the board, Mark did, the board of directors. And I don't know when that was, like 25 years ago or something. But I have never missed a meeting except once. Even in the hospital, I was dying in the hospital. I had sepsis. Sepsis, anybody? Most folks are dead from it, you know. And I was trying not to die, mainly because I had a kid. Otherwise, I didn't really give a shit. But I zoomed in, you know. I zoomed in, and I never missed a meeting, either in person or on Zoom, except one time. And the one time, they probably don't know this, and the one time I missed, they elected me president of the board of directors. So I've never missed again. And I'm waiting for somebody else to miss. So, no, I'm not. I'm proud to be connected. I'm proud to be connected. So anyway, so I started going to meet. Hey, timer? How much time do I have? 23 minutes. Good. Thank you. When my coworkers were badgering me about working a program, I didn't really care that much. But when you guys, my group, started saying, well, let's see if I got this right. You tell me when I graduate, if I don't have a sponsor, I need to get one. You're not going to let me take a pass unless I have a sponsor. You're telling me I should do 90 and 90 upon graduation. Yeah, we go to meetings every day for the last, it was 9 months, and then sometimes you'd stay an extra, so you do 6 months. I go every day for 6 months, and you tell me I got to do 90 and 90. And I had heard they should do that. Y'all should do that. So I said, yeah, that's right. And then one day they said, well, how many meetings do you go to? And I go, you got it. That's the perfect answer. I said, none. Every day, none. Tomorrow, none. Day after that, probably none. And they, mumbled some things, but not to my face, because they had a lot of respect for me, I believe, but a little less than they had 3 minutes earlier, you know. And so that's what I was waiting to hear, Roxy. I watched myself, on a Zoom, and through the whole time, last couple times I've spoken, you hear this lady laughing her butt off. It's adorable, But I'm trying not to be humorous this time. So anyway, I decided to go to meetings. And then some things happened. I'm not going to get too into it. I'll just tell you really quick. I quit drinking and using, except once while I was here. But they didn't test me. That was the day before October 1st, 1997. So I haven't done that yet again. But I wasn't going to meetings, so I started going to meetings. I went to Hermosa Beach, 22nd Street, 10 o'clock. It was a 10th step meeting where we would sit on the sand in a circle. It was great. Talk about our week, review our week, and talk how we utilize the 10th step in all our affairs, And it was delightful. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to a meeting every Sunday. That's pretty good. I got a sponsor. I did the steps. And out of the NA workbook, anybody done that? It's something. Even if you do it wrong, it's a lot of work, And so I said, you know what I'm going to do? What's that, Michael? I'm on a first name basis with myself. What's that, Michael? I'm going to start going to a men's group in Redondo on Broadway. I think it was in like a church. Not every Thursday, every other Thursday. You know, I don't want to be like obsessive about this. And so I started going to this men's group. And it was cool, a little hardcore, because my beach meeting, okay, here it comes. My beach meeting is on the beach. So during the summer, you know, and unlike this group right here, it was a co-ed meeting. And during the summer, Hermosa Beach, you know, women attend and, you know, they wear beach attire. And I'm sitting in my little beach chair with my gargoyles on back then, you know. And I go, God, I can't believe it. You know, I get free coffee. They don't charge a cover charge for looking at these women. And life is good in recovery, you know. And then I decided I should go to a men's meeting. Not quite. It was a different tone to it. And I thought I was going to impress them all, because back then, you know, I had like 7 years sober, and I had done the steps, and I was going to this beach meeting, and you know, I go, I'm doing the deal big time. And this guy would share, and he was one of them guys that's kind of harsh, you know. When he smells bullshit, he says, you know, that's bullshit. You know, I'm trying to convince him, you know, it's daffodils, you know. And so I started sharing about that. I was thinking, okay, I was in a position, okay, I was thinking, contemplating having an affair, you know, with a much younger woman. My wife was younger than me, 13 years or so, but I wanted someone way younger than that. And so I shared about it at this men's meeting, because I figured we're men, and that's what we talk about. Yeah, and this guy comes up to me after the meeting. He goes, hey, hold on there. So I hold on. And this guy, every time he shared, and I went up and told him this, I said, you know, whenever I hear, I think his name was Jerry, and I go, every time I hear, my name's Jerry and I'm an alcoholic, I know I'm going to hear something strong about recovery, because he always said something strong about recovery. And I complimented him because, you know, that's how I am. And he came up to me, he goes, you know, I heard you talking about what you're dealing with and what you're thinking about. I go, yeah, I feel really badly. I'm torn, I'm being torn apart, and my wife and this woman, and barely a woman. But I mean, she had lost all her baby teeth. And so this is why I used to hear a lot of stuff about humiliation, you know, because I had a different version of what's funny. But anyway, I hear you talking about what you were thinking of doing. I go, yeah, I'm thinking, like, I'm so depressed and confused. I'm thinking of throwing myself in front of a bus. And the guy I thought knew a lot about recovery, he goes, you can't throw yourself in front of the bus because you're too busy driving the bus. I go, man, that was good. If he said it to somebody else, you know. And he goes, have you done the steps? I go, sure have. But not with an attitude, because I could sense, like, I was getting come down on. I feel, you know, I could feel that getting ready to happen, you know, the bus crack and his tongue. And he says, have you done the steps? I go, yeah, that's right. And he says, tell me about the spiritual principles. I can't blame my sponsor, although I could make a case. I didn't know about the spiritual principles. I know they were mentioned somewhere in the later steps, But, so happy to be almost done that, it escaped me. He goes, tell me about the principles. And I said, well, honesty. And he goes, come on, that was a lucky guess. Tell me about the principles. And I go, And he said, well, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics. Practice these principles in all our affairs. How are you going to practice the principles in all your affairs or any of your affairs if you don't know what they are? And I said, damn, not out loud. I said, damn, I thought this guy knew so much about recovery and all this, and he's just a busybody pain in my butt, He goes, I want you to show up next week and tell me about the principles. So I went and fired up my AOL dial-up, and about an hour and a half later, I got spiritual principles popped up. I'll go, I'll be damned. So I said, hey, read about them principles. He wasn't impressed. He said, mumbled something about, reading them. Yeah, that's real good. Practice them in all our affairs. And he just snubbed me. And I went to that meeting again the next week because I wasn't going to let him chase me away for another week. And then I ain't going there no more. I'm going to go where the bathing suit chicks are and talk about how I use the 10th step. And but it stuck in my head when I got real serious, because I end up cheating on my wife. Lo and behold, I have a 21-year-old son. That's why I moved up to San Luis Obispo County to be a daddy to my son. And my wife, who's not the mother of my son, divorced me, kicked me out of my condo in Redondo. And then I weighed all my options. I'm not going to get into them, but they're obvious. Get loaded, kill myself, or get serious about this program to a degree that I didn't even know was within me, And like other people, I'd seen other people. A guy once, I'm walking on the sand to our meeting, and he goes, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. And he goes, this is my third meeting this morning. And I said I go, oh, really? I swear, I didn't know people did that. I thought you do your one a week, maybe another one, and you're good. Take a commitment. I really didn't know people went to 3 in a row, and I didn't know that. And so when I weighed my options, I decided to throw myself into this program with a fervor that had been unknown to me that I haven't let go of yet, and that was almost 22 years ago. I moved to Long Beach because they have a lot of meetings there, and I went to Harbor Central office and I got a directory, and I started that day going to 2 meetings every day, 3 some days. One time I went to 5 meetings. Jesus Christ. They're 90-minute meetings except for one. Because I didn't want to be left alone with me. And I didn't want to drink for a lot of reasons or use. And I'd lose my job. And I was already had a tenuous hold on it. And I started immersing myself in this program. I still go to, I have a little over 28 years, 3 months, and today's the 19 days. We already did that, but thank you. The point is, I know how quickly it can all turn around, because I saw at that time that I took some Vicodin when I was working as a counselor. And so in case people does everybody out there feel comfortable talking about the spiritual principles that go behind each step? I'm not going to quiz you, because I had to have Mark print them out for me, because I got to the point where if I ever knew them all, I can't remember them. I was just happy I remembered how to get to Fred Brown's. You know what I mean? And if I read these, then I would have forgot. I'd still be driving around, you know. So step one, the ever popular honesty. Apparently, you know, what do they say about step one? Anybody? It's the only step that
You have to work perfectly.
you have to work perfectly. Yeah. And the only way to work it perfectly, a big part of that, is to be honest with yourself and maybe a few other people in your life, like everybody. You know what I mean? And step two, so, you know, you come to believe that a power, no, you haven't done that yet. You admit that you were powerless and your life has become unmanageable. Oh my God, I might as well just keep drinking and kill myself. But they were clever enough. Step two, hope. Hope. And I always thought hope sounds cheerful, but hope without some kind of action is just wistful thinking, like daydreaming, right? Gee, I could be sober, and I could have this, that, the other thing. I could see, you know, my kids, my grandkids. God, I hope that all happens. When somebody would come into one of my groups and, I hope it's going to be different this time, I won't tell you what I would tell them. But it wasn't kind, because it's bullshit. You hope. Hope ain't going to cut it. You know, it's a program of action. You've got to hear that a few times every day that you're here. Yeah. And then three, faith. Okay. Whatever you're having faith in is good. You know, a loving God of my understanding is what I've been using. Most powerful entity in all of creation, whatever's beyond, is the God of my understanding. And it's how, you know, the miracle in the making that you see before you today got here. You know what I mean? And this is what I liken it to. People come into treatment, not you guys, but those other ones that I work with. And it reminds me of, like, addiction is like a charging, snorting, snot flying everywhere, ground thundering rhino gonna run you over and keep going. And you can, like, well, I hope he doesn't, like, hurt me. Or some people say, oh, it takes action. Yeah, what are you doing about this rhino? Well, I got these spitballs here, and I'm gonna flick them when he gets a little closer. I'm gonna flick these spitballs at him. Yeah, that ought to do it. Or why don't you pick up that bazooka and blast that son of a bitch right there? You know, and if I may say, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, any anonymous is like the bazooka. A lot of folks come in with their little spitballs going, yeah, I got it this time. And I hope it's going to be different. Oh my God, here he comes. Wham, they don't even know what happened. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah, let me hear it. And so, hope. Yeah, that's how I got it. And faith. Yeah. Courage. Absolutely. Yeah. If it was easy, we'd all be walking around sober. Or we go get loaded, get sober again, and continue. But it ain't easy. And first step, how many people have done a first step, a Fred Brown Recovery Services first step? Yeah. Yeah, if you do it right, it's a pretty challenging piece of work. Doing it right means you're honest with yourself. The things you don't want to think about, things you don't want to write about, things you definitely don't want to share in group. It's the kind of things you start with. And then, because, you know, that's not good enough for us. We want to hear how you feel about it, because it's a feelings-driven disease. And if you're blaming other people for your feelings, you might as well just go get loaded now. I didn't mean that. You just talk to your counselor and do some honest work. That's probably one of the other reasons why honesty is the first spiritual principle. And then, you know, integrity, trust, absolutely. Willingness, humility. As you can see, I have humility just dripping from me. I am one humble, recovering alcoholic addict. Just ask me, I'll tell you. Oh, no, I'm kidding around. Responsibility. Ooh, 2 things that used to scare the hell. How much time, timer? 5 minutes? Well, I can't tell you about how much responsibility used to scare me, but the term responsible adult were the 2 scariest words ever, and I ran from it. Today, I am it. I'm a responsible adult, pay my taxes, all that stuff. Boy, there was so much more I wanted to say. I wonder what my big closing point was. Oh, let me skip ahead to number 10th step. Anybody know the spiritual principle of the 10th step? That's right, perseverance. Because here's the thing, you guys probably hear this a lot. Addicts, alcoholics also, but mainly addicts, nobody would slam a drug or snort a drug or smoke a drug if you had to do it every day for a couple weeks or longer, and then you finally catch a buzz in a month. We want it now. We want it before now. So I would get loaded early in the morning before I even have to get up so I could wake up on codeine so I didn't have that uncomfortable 20 minutes while I'm waiting for it to hit. You know what I mean? But so, we want immediate payoff. Doesn't work that way. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, right? So then I was talking to a guy today about perseverance, and we were talking about ants. You know how like when you're a kid, or maybe now, you're walking along, going to Safeway or whatever, and you see a little ant hill, and you kick it, all the ants are running around doing ant stuff, and you kick it over. There, you little sons of bitches. And do the ants go sit in the gutter and go, oh, God, why us? Why us? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Do they eat some little ant flower somewhere that they know about that gets them all messed up? No, do they kill themselves? No, they don't. They start digging again immediately. You know what I mean? And you come back a half hour later, there it was, like it never happened. And, they roll up their little ant sleeves. It takes a while because they got 6 legs, And, and they persevere. You could do it all day. They'd keep doing it, Probably, I don't know. I got better things to do these days. But anyway, perseverance. And so perseverance, I looked it up. I left my phone in the car, and I gave it to Roxy. I don't have time to get it. But it's doing the right thing, a series of right things persistently when the payoff, is my own words, the payoff isn't readily apparent. But you have faith that if you keep doing the right thing over a period of time, it's going to happen. Here it comes. In our time? No. In God's time. God's time. God, I wish I had a lot more time, but I do not. So the thing is, a lot of people and their families think God, you're here, you've been at Fred Brown's for a month, now you're on a pass, yet you're still doing the same kind of stuff you've always done. What good is it? And you go, yeah, you're right. What good is it? Screw it. I might as well be getting loaded. No. Here's the thing, and then I'll stop. People would say all the time, oh, you got to do it for yourself. You got to do it for yourself. You're doing it to stay out of prison. You're doing it because you got a court case pending. It's not going to work. Yeah, it will. It doesn't matter what gets you here, as long as when you get here, you do what the hell that needs to be done here. And what happens is you need to stay long enough that you start experiencing the benefits, and it feels good. You get to see your kids. You get a bank account. I remember a kid got a Vons card, and he was proud. It's like he got a savings bond. He's going, look at this. I gave him my phone number, and I got a Vons card. He was like really proud. That's how low life had taken him, you know. And then you get a Vons card. The next thing you know, you're driving around in a Lexus. Maybe, maybe not. Depends on a lot of things. But the thing is, you can't, like my whole thing, and I'm really going to stop. I had a sponsor who happens to be dead at the moment. He died in 2017, and he would always say, just trust, just trust. And what he didn't say, he had it on his license plate. And then he dies in 2017. And as I get older, get more experience, get deeper into this program, I understand more what he meant. It doesn't mean, you know, you got a hole in your roof and you read it's going to be a huge storm. Well, I just trust that God's going to keep it cool. No, you got to get your ass up on that roof and patch it. So once you've done everything that needs to be done persistently, then you trust that it's going to turn out just the way it needs to. And if it's not the way I want it to be, then I got to figure out, if I believe in a loving God of my understanding, I got to figure out why I need to accept and be grateful for how it's turning out, because I trust that it's for my benefit. I could go on a long time. Give me a call, and I'll talk your ears off. Thanks for putting up with me.